officially introduced to the Raiders faithful yesterday. The marriage between AB and John Gruden will certainly be an interesting one to watch. Spicy versus spicy. The seven-time Pro Bowler addressed the media for the first time since this was announced, and he can't wait to dive into Gruden's offensive system.
I'm just here as a sponge to soak up every information Coach got, to be as successful I can be and to help the team take it to a new level. So I'm just excited being in the same buildings with guys who've been great from the past. But I'm excited to be here and help things go to another level as far as the winning environment. My goal really is to catch Jerry Rice. I'm playing with a guy like Coach Gruden. Obviously, he knows what it takes to keep me upright and fresh and to keep me out there for a long time. So, you know, it's a tremendous challenge. It's a challenge every year to prove my love for the game, you know, and I'm just taking it 1 year at a time.
One of the benefits we have of working with a guy like Nick Wright is he crunches numbers as things come out. So Antonio Brown mentioned Jerry Rice, and guess what Nick said while it happened?
Well, so listen, he said he wants to catch Jerry Rice.
Right.
Jerry Rice is at 22,800-ish yards.
Of course you know that.
Antonio Brown's at 11,200-ish, so that's easy math. If he doubles his production,
right,
if he has the career he's had, has the exact same, again, he'll be like 400 short.
Short.
He'll be a good month of football away, and that's the yards, touchdowns. He's, I think, about 130 short, which is, so if he has the rest of his career, the exact number of touchdowns you had in the entirety of your career, he'll almost catch Jerry.
So pretty likely.
So he's right there. Yeah, I mean,
he's right there.
But that's not fair to be like, he can have a great tenure in Oakland and never touch Jerry Rice's number.
Well, then what is going to be the barometer? Like, what's going to be considered a success for Antonio Brown? I mean, he already passed the first test. He shaved that mustache, re-dyed it its natural color, and got rid of some of the things on top. But tell me what would be considered a success for AB in Oakland.
Well, Jenna, he's off to a great start. I know you hate when people change teams and then they get an opportunity. I'm sitting there waiting for them, and then they put off that first impression. You're like, I don't like it. Has nothing to do with can they play. They lose the first press conference. What he did was he sat down there. He fixed his mustache. And he talked with the people who decided to extend his contract, and he talked about, I'm going to take this 1 year at a time, because he wants to show them that he really loves the game. And before we had this big blow-up, I told Nick for the longest time, this is one of the hardest working guys. This guy spends an amazing amount of money on his body. Like, he is a workout fool. He gets up in the morning loving to work out. And those types of guys, especially as a wide receiver, because he doesn't get into a lot of big collisions, he can play for a long time. So for me, he had the right attitude. It started with him and John Gruden sitting down in John Gruden's office, and John Gruden had every pass play that he had ever participated in with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they went through that film, watching it and watching it. So John Gruden knows the type of player that he's getting. But he told him, you're good at certain areas, but there's some areas you're not good at. And those are the areas I'm going to push you. And that's one thing with Gruden. Man, you will get tired of him every day being at. He coaches pro like they coach in college. And we haven't seen pros that really respond that way. So AB is a workout warrior. I believe it is a good fit. I'm glad they had Mike Mayock there, because I believe that they're going to get some talented players there in Oakland. I believe the story's going to change there in Oakland, and it starts with the relationship. AB humbling himself, saying, that guy right there is getting ready to get me to football. And if you want to play a long time, AB, sometimes it's not about your ability at the end. It's about your leadership. Is he going to be the face of the Oakland Raiders when they go to Vegas? So that's what he's proven in these first couple intros to him. So he's off to a great start. He's not a dumb guy. He knows how to market himself. Let's get back to the football part, because that's the part. He is a master. He's the best in the NFL currently at what we had. 6 straight seasons, 100 catches, 6 straight seasons, 1,200 yards. You wouldn't want anything else from a wide receiver. So I like the way he got it started, the relationship there with the media, the coaching staff. Let's get back. He went out to the field, worked out with Carr. This is who this guy is.
And narratives in the NFL about teams or players can turn on a dime. I remember when the Eagles and Giants were both had an open head coaching position, and the Giants hired Ben McAdoo, and the Eagles hired Doug Peterson.
Both of them up-and-coming offensive coordinators.
Exactly right. And 1 year in, Eagles fans were angry. Why did we go with Peterson? We could have had McAdoo. And a year later, McAdoo is fired, and Doug Peterson is a Super Bowl champion. And now McAdoo, it's not like he is the next hot name people are trying to hire for a head coach. And Doug Peterson seemingly as much job security as anybody this side of Bill Belichick. Narratives with Antonio Brown can change. Like, we can forget what has been a really, I think, uncomfortable and unfortunate, call it 6 to 18 months, if he produces the way he always has, the Raiders win some games, he doesn't have the type of off-field nonsense associated that was associated with him in Pittsburgh, and if at the same time Pittsburgh struggles this year, then all of a sudden the narrative's like, oh, wait, maybe it was the quarterback more, whether it's accurate or not. My point is, sometimes the facts stop really mattering, and it's the story that gets told. I know Antonio Brown will produce. I know Antonio Brown is going to work hard because, as you said, and it is like the most common refrain in the NFL, whether people like AB or not. Everyone says, like, as a, you can't deny it. It's like it's part of his name. Hardest worker in the NFL, Antonio Brown. And when it comes to stories and narratives, his story and narrative also is a great one for the totality of his life, coming from being homeless, where the circumstances, if he has a redemption act. We love a redemption plot line. We love build you up, see you fall, and then build you back up again. And so I think he is a great player. And I obviously think the Raiders got an absolute steal. Now, who's going to be his quarterback? What will Gruden show an ability to produce a high-level offense, which he's done very rarely in his coaching career? Those are fair questions, but that was a great start.
Right, and you talking about storylines. It's a great storyline that the Raiders would be back as being an elite team. It's a great storyline that John Gruden goes into the booth, comes back. It's a great storyline Mike Mayock coming out of television, talking about draft picks, talking about NFL, going on to run an NFL team. So they have more people. I know on this show we've been critical of them. I've been critical of them because they're just the facts. But that's a good story waiting to happen. Yesterday was a good day.
And the best way to change the narrative is for him to get it on that field and
just win games.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
What did
Moving on.
Say? Just win, baby.
By all accounts, LeBron's first reason why fingerprinting, trade rumors, no playoffs, which is all but a certainty at this point. But truth be told, had it not been for a small wet spot on the floor, the one LeBron slipped on, tore his groin, and missed over a month of action, this Laker team was on track to make the playoffs. Yesterday, LeBron met with the media and said this season could have been very different.
It's easy to say, well, if, you know, you can't do that. You know, for me, I can't do that. I'll be cheating myself. Obviously, I know, you know, how I was leading this team going into December 25th and how I was approaching the ball club was right on track on how I do every single year. And especially I was even more patient with the young guys. And unfortunately, one slip and fall here, you know, a tear of the groin, slap down on our other mastermind and Rajon Rondo on his hand. Now we got a torn groin and a broken hand, and both of them are out for 10.5 weeks combined. So, you know, definitely it was sucked at that point in time of our season.
All right, let's play a little hindsight, CeCe. You think the Lakers would have made the playoffs if it weren't for LeBron's injury?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they would have made the playoff. I think it's fair to say, I don't think it's an excuse, but it's not only LeBron, but the Rondo thing. You can't have both of those guys out of the organization because there are a lot of things that not on the stat sheet, but the overall leadership and what these younger players need, someone to stabilize the ship. You can't have both of them injured because the effect from a leadership standpoint, when you get injured in sports, you lose a lot of your leadership. Like Kevin Durant, he couldn't lead last night. Professional athletes do not listen to guys that are hurt. Like, you lose that feel. We saw that with Nick Foles. Man, what was Carson Wentz doing? Cheering. Like, you lose your leadership because you're not here to help us. And it's amazing. It's like you're on a different team when you're hurt compared to when you're in the flow of things, even if you're injured and still playing. So, yes, I think it's fair to say Christmas night, they beat Golden State. I mean, tremendous win. LeBron goes down.
And nobody, sorry to interrupt, just real quick. On Christmas night, that was when the Lakers were still, if you fall down, stay down till your teammates get there to pick you up. Nobody thought the veterans and the young players were disconnected. Like, LeBron said it there. He said, now maybe it's a little revisionist history, but he said, I thought I was connecting with the young guys. I thought, and then He was gone. They lost. The Anthony Davis thing happened. He, I think, then failed to reconnect with the young guys, and it all went askew. But on Christmas night, nobody thought. Even Chris Mannix had come around.
Where were they? They were in fourth place in the West?
They were in fourth place in the West, and I know it was real tight, fourth to 8th. But they were there. But they were right there, and they were whooping the Warriors.
But then after that, and I like the fact, too, LeBron, he's starting to get a little more insight. He slipped a couple of times. I'm going to say slipped because he didn't say I got injured. He said I tore my groin. Steph strained his groin. Missed 11 games. LeBron tore his groin. He hadn't been saying that. He said he hurt his groin, but when you tear your groin, you could see when he came back, he was not at the weight that we saw him on Christmas night. You could see he didn't have the cardio, didn't have the wind, didn't have the stamina. When he went to the button to push it, Jenna, you was like, oh man, he doesn't have it. He didn't have LeBron activation mode. So all those things are accurate. But if LeBron James is healthy, the Los Angeles Lakers are going to be in the playoffs. Now, if he just has his normal season, we're going to give him 5 or 6 games where he can take off for load management, all those types of things. But if he doesn't miss those 18 games, the Lakers are going to be in the playoffs next.
And listen, all of that's true. And, of course, that was the key moment. Now, was it salvageable when he came back? Maybe. If Anthony Davis never demands a trade and the team stays more connected, is it salvageable despite the injury? Yeah, probably. If Luke Walton does a better job while LeBron's out, is it salvageable? Yeah, I think it is. If they don't have, you have a list in front of you of awful losses. During the injury and post-injury. Yeah, it's probably, but yeah, of course, the key moment's the injury. But here's the thing. You guys know this about me, sports or otherwise, I'm a history buff. This is how the NBA works. It is moments in time that are fork in the road. For LeBron, Skip brings up all the time, and he's not wrong in some regard. The Ray Allen shot. If Ray Allen misses that shot, LeBron doesn't have a chance to go 37-12 in Game 7, and the Heat blueprint is considered a failure. On the flip side, the game we were at, after the Cavs won their first title, if Kyle Korver hits his shot, Zach Lowe just wrote a whole story about this, the great NBA Finals we missed out on because Kyrie was playing at his best level. LeBron's like, what would the narrative have been if Korver makes that shot? If the Cavs beat the Warriors with Durant, then you're on my side on the GOAT
And
stuff.
my guy, MJ, I was there for a bunch of them. There was a bunch of times he passed to guys wide open, and they knocked down shots. That being Steve Kerr, that being John Paxson, B.J. Armstrong, Hodges, man, they knocked down shots. So those were shots, too, that changed the narrative.
We're in New York City. How differently do people remember Patrick Ewing if John Stark's shot in Game 6 isn't blocked by Akeem and they win that title? How differently do we remember Chris Webber and those Kings teams if Peja does an airball to 3 in the corner in Game 7 of the 0-2 Western Conference Finals? Like, this is what basketball is. It is moments in time that we build narratives around one, I don't want to say random, but one incident. And LeBron's incident was he slipped on the floor and tore his groin. And now it's, wow, you missed the playoffs in your prime? Are you going to get a free agent? How good of a leader are you? Or should the Lakers trade you? Hey, listen, it's not unfair. Right. That is how basketball works. That's how, by the way, football, like what is the narrative on those Bills teams? If Norwood makes the first field goal, field goal in the first Super Bowl. Like, this is just how sports are.
So existential of you this morning.
Well, no, but I mean, that's just how it is. Like, I don't, nobody should pity LeBron or the Lakers. Like, that's what happens.
And narratives are created by small, tiny things or decisions or moments.
And last point, we never think about the things that didn't happen. How many times in LeBron's career did he avoid the wet spot? How many times could he have torn his groin? Where those have been championship seasons? Right. This wasn't going to be a championship season either way. So, like, that's just what happens. Now, next year, don't slip on the damn wet spot. Make the playoffs. See what happens.
Moral of the story, keep things dry.
What are you laughing about, see?
Coming up, was the Warriors win over the Rockets a statement victory? That is ahead. This is First Things First.
I think you guys should start saying spot on the court or something.
Okay.
I think that might.
Okay, that's what you were